And I think we're live here. All right. What's going on, everybody? Sorry for the little delay there. I feel like I'm always like 5 minutes late to these things whenever I start them up. But I feel like this is the week of movies, right? With Barbie, Oppenheimer, a couple other things I want to talk about that are coming out on Friday as well. Specifically on Netflix. If you've seen my Twitter page at all, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I won't stop yelling about one specific movie, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. But yeah, it is a great week to be a movie fan. Um, Saw Oppenheimer, saw Barbie. Both are very good movies. I'm very happy to be able to say that after all the insane hype they've been getting over the past months and probably like half a year now at this point. So I'm happy to say you can't go wrong with seeing either of those. I know there's a big debate going on. All right, are you going to see Barbie first? You're going to see Oppenheimer first. You can't go wrong, whichever one you pick. I think there might be different moods. Like I think you could make the argument that okay, maybe start with Oppenheimer for something more heavy, then ease into the rest of the night with Barbie, which is a little bit more light and fun. I could see you saying that, but you really can't go wrong with either. So before we dive in right now, I see I already have a question from my boy Zach. I'm gonna pull that up before we go any further here. Zach Milne, huge fan of the channel. I'm also a huge fan of his. Make sure you subscribe to him if you don't already. He has a really good kind of live movie talk show that he does. I think every Wednesday it is. Um, so let's see what he said here. What's up, Sully? By the time you read this, I'm going to be in Barbie land. But a question for you: what is your most nostalgic movie? The one that puts you back into your childhood and feeling like a kid? That's a great question. Also, I'll preface this already by saying that I already saw Zach's Twitter that his car broke down. He didn't make it to Barbie Land. I'm super sorry that happened to you, dude. So hopefully that issue gets fixed quick and you get yourself over to the movies like you planned. But my favorite nostalgic movie. So it's always going to be adventure movies for me. That's just what I loved watching as a kid. I mean, you can kind of see the little bit of a Raiders poster sticking out there. That's my favorite movie ever. So it's hard for me not to say Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, I watched all of those indie movies with my dad. He showed them to me. So, I have a big spot in my heart for adventure movies. The Mummy, 1999 with Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz. I mean, that's another one where it's like the adventure genre just makes it feel like it's the movies are built like you're on a theme park ride. Spielberg said that about Raiders, that he wanted to make the movie feel like that when you were first watching it. I still think that's the best way to describe those movies today. So that, The Mummy, those are big nostalgia movies for me and make me feel like a kid again whenever I watch them. The first two Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies too. I think that's probably some good choices for kind of my most nostalgic movies, those movies that kind of put me back into my childhood feeling like a kid. So I appreciate the question there, Zach. So unless anyone else grabs something or asks something in the chat, I'll get back into a little Oppenheimer and Barbie talk here. I got the chance to go to an early screening of Oppenheimer Tuesday night. It wasn't easy to get in there. I'll tell you that right now. I waited in line at the movies for like 4 hours. I think I waited outside for 4 hours. It was pretty hot, pretty sweaty. I'm not gonna lie. I probably looked disgusting by the time that I got actually let into the movie. But you know, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. I'm getting a chance to see it early. I really don't care how sweaty I am as long as I get to see that movie. Um, so I waited for like I said, 3 or 4 hours. Eventually got in, um, and I really enjoyed it. If any of you have seen my review already for Oppenheimer, I posted it. What's today? Thursday. I posted it Wednesday, I think. So yesterday. You know how I feel about it. I feel like first and foremost, it's a Christopher Nolan movie, right? So it's like you're gonna get some top tier stuff from a technical point of view. The color grading, the cinematography, the sound design, the musical score, all that stuff in a Christopher Nolan movie is always absolutely top notch. Um, and he just has a way about him where I don't care who you are, what movie you've made in the past, we're talking about directors here. Whenever you see a new Christopher Nolan movie, I feel like you're just going to be salivating from the beginning of the film all the way to when the credits roll. It's hard not to, it's just like the visuals he puts on screen, how crisp everything looks, how just absolutely smooth all the visuals that he puts up on screen look. It's hard not to be like that. Um, and I mean, what I really want to talk about the most is that bomb detonation scene. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that scene is so incredible. I keep saying that, like, you're going to want to call your parents during the movie, tell them you love them one last time because you think there's a chance that the theater could actually blow up. Like, that's how unbelievable that bomb detonation sequence is. The tension is awesome, it's paced perfectly. And when I talk about Christopher Nolan's sound design, and I already did a little bit, his sound design is just an absolute next level in that scene. I think it's probably, I mean, it's obviously the best sound design that's in the movie. When else, if you're not going to use your best sound design on the scene when the bomb detonates, I don't know when you're going to use it. So obviously, that's like when it comes from ground and pound, Christopher Nolan traits and tropes, like the visuals, the sound, everything culminating. That is the scene of the movie. That detonation scene is just crazy. Um, and then when you like look at the rest of the movie, it's probably the best ensemble we're going to see on screen together in a single movie this year. I mean, the cast is so stacked. We all know already that everyone and their mother is in this thing. I mean, you have like Josh Peck, Alex Wolf, and a bunch of these other smaller actors that we know from past projects or like projects when we were a kid. They're all running around and just like that. You can tell they're happy as a clam being in a Christopher Nolan movie. I mean, I'd be the same way. But the actual main ensemble is unbelievable. Killian Murphy's great leading us through this story. He does so much with his body language, just as he does verbally. Matt Damon, again, he's having a killer 2023. He does a really good job kind of being Oppenheimer's handler and kind of keeping him on the straight and narrow during this project. And then our leading ladies do a really nice job too. Like Emily Blunt is really good here. Florence Pugh is good, but she's not used a lot. So I wish we got more of her, but I mean, we know what to expect from her. She always puts out pretty good stuff when it comes to her acting capabilities. But the star of the show is Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr., I think, definitely put out the best performance of his entire career. So he wasn't lying. If you saw all those clips at the red carpet with him being like, "This is the best movie I've ever been in." Yeah, this is the best movie he's ever been in. He kills it. I think if anyone is going to get nominated for an Oscar in this cast for this movie, it has to be him. I think it definitely needs to be him because he just like transforms into this role. And I mean, I know people have said this a little bit that like, okay, this is his first post Marvel Iron Man movie where you're like, oh yeah, this guy's actually a kick-ass actor. And I hate to harp on that point, but they're right. It's he is just an incredible actor in this movie. I hope Robert Downey Jr. wins the Oscar. I'll be rooting for him. If Killian Murphy and Matt Damon get nominated as well, I'd be happy to see that. But for me, this is Robert Downey Jr.'s Oscar to lose. I think that he was phenomenal in this. Zach says he's not in Barbie land. I know, unfortunately, dude. I'm so sorry that happened to you. On the side of the road land. No. Where does Oppenheimer rank for Nolan films? Okay. I haven't thought about this myself yet, which is kind of crazy, but it's like we had Barbie, we had a couple Netflix releases this week, so I haven't even had a time to breathe and think about this. Let me pull up all of his movies and let me just think this through really quick. All right, all 12 Christopher or 12th or 13th movie. I don't even know which one this is, but I think I'll just say this right off the bat. It's not my top 3 because Memento Interstellar, and The Prestige are probably in my top 3. But Nolan films are so hard to rank, man. I feel like everyone has so many different reasons to have a favorite Nolan film, and, like, your mood changes, so you're like, "My Nolan films change all the time when it comes to my rankings," but I think I can lock in The Prestige, Interstellar, Dark Knight, and Memento are above Oppenheimer. I'd have to think of what other ones or where it really falls. Um, it's not easy to think. I think I liked this more than Dunkirk. This is probably a top 5 Nolan movie for me. Maybe it's at 4. I don't know. Maybe in that top 5 spot, it's battling out whether I like this more or Batman Begins for. I think Batman Begins is probably Nolan's most underrated movie. I think, you look at The Dark Knight coming out and that kind of gets sidelined because obviously we all know Dark Knight is just incredible. But I'll lock it in, I think, at like 4 or 5. So I guess I'm not I guess I'm not locking it in. But 4 or 5, I think tentatively right now is where I'm thinking it's gonna land. Um, Movie Dean, what is going on, dude? Happy to see you in here. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'm still learning about all this streaming stuff, so I appreciate you being in the chat here. Still trying to get it figured out. But yeah, going back to Oppenheimer a little bit, I've been singing its praises so far in the stream. So kind of taking a step back, taking a look at it, and the flaws that I think I found for me personally. And I mean, like I said, this is a Nolan movie, so there's not going to be a long laundry list of flaws here. When you're talking about a Nolan film, all of his stuff is crafted so well that it's just going to end up being like nitpicks and maybe stuff that it just isn't totally my cup of tea, which, is whatever. Maybe it's yours or whatever. But I think I definitely felt that this movie was 3 hours long. It definitely feels like a 3-hour movie to me. But when I step back and I look at the whole plot, there isn't really anywhere you can point to where I feel like I would take anything out, which makes it really tough for me to have that critique in the first place. Because if I'm saying, oh, it feels like a 3-hour movie, but everything in there was necessary, then it's not too long of a movie. Like it told the story it needed to tell, it took the time it needed to, it went on the pace that it was going to go on to effectively tell this story. So I feel like I'm at odds a little bit with myself with that critique, just because like I said, if I said a movie's 3 hours long and I felt that it was 3 hours long, but it also was necessary and it earned that runtime because of this story, I don't know. Is it really a critique at all? I'm like inceptioning myself right now. But when it comes to kind of the undescribables, the indescribables, the intangibles, how it made me feel kind of leaving the theater, I do think it might be the least rewatchable Christopher Nolan movie for me. Um, I don't know. It just like didn't really give me the same feeling in my chest that I had leaving the theater after seeing like The Dark Knight or Interstellar or The Prestige. Like I just didn't have that same like pounding in my chest being like that was an incredible movie. I'm moved. I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of my life. Like there's so many twists and turns in a movie like The Dark Knight, The Prestige, Interstellar that did make me feel that leaving the theater. But that might just come down to as well that like this is just such a different type of movie for Nolan to be making. And I can understand that. Like it's different, it's powerful and it stays with you in a different way than those movies that I just listed. Like I think I don't know, like this movie is one of those ones where like the movie ends and the crowd's like silent because the ending was so powerful and they don't really know what to say. Everyone's sitting with it. So in that regard, I mean, like, I'm not gonna be like all hoorah about it. But in the same way, I miss that feeling after leaving a Nolan film. I don't think I got it after like Dunkirk. I didn't get it after Tenant, but you know, this movie only has a chance to grow on me more. So I definitely want to see it in theaters again a second time. Um, I just think it's such a dense character study. The themes in it are super timely. Um, that it's worth a repeat viewing. It's definitely worth a repeat viewing. Um, Zach says, "How is Josh Peck? Is he blowing up? No pun intended. After this." Okay, so this actually leads me to a little bit, not really a critique, but just like an observation. I thought what Josh Peck did in this movie was fine. He didn't stick out. I wasn't like, oh, that's Josh from Drake and Josh for some reason in a Christopher Nolan movie. Um, but this is the downside of having everybody and their mother in this movie. Everyone you know, every side character is somebody that you've seen in a past project, right? Which is great because you know that even the side characters, even the small roles, are going to be well acted. But in the same vein, you're not going to be able to perfectly balance everybody. Like Josh Peck, Alex Wolf, and Jack Quaid. I enjoy all three of those guys. But because everyone is jam packed into this movie, there's just not enough screen time to go around. So those three guys that I just mentioned, like they don't have a ton to do in this movie. Like you see them and then they're gone. Um, but at the end of the day, they can say like, it's not an easy feat to say like I was in a Christopher Nolan movie and I didn't stick out like a sore thumb. Like that's not an easy thing to do. So Josh Peck, Alex Wolf, Jack Quaid, all those other guys in there that are pretty famous but don't get a ton of screen time, they did a good job for what they were allowed to do, what the script gave them. I thought, I don't know if impressed is the word, but you know, a little hollow just because I wish those people had more time and that we could give more screen time to all these people. But like I said, that's a blessing and a curse of an ensemble like this. Like everybody's famous, but there's just not enough screen time and roles to go around. Movie Dean says he hasn't seen it yet. Sure, there's emotion to it, but is the bomb visuals worth the hype? I feel like every trailer has been like, this will be the best movie explosion ever. Okay, so the bomb detonation scene is up there with the best scenes of the entire movie. I won't say much just within context of the story and kind of where it pops up and everything. I'll let you experience that for yourself, obviously. But like, yeah, the explosion scene is what it's cracked up to be. I mean, this is a Nolan movie, so you know he's going to do it correctly. I was watching an interview with him earlier. That's he was talking about that. Someone brought up that he said there's no CGI in this movie, and he doubled down on that claim. He was like, "Yeah, there's no CGI in this movie." Which, when you watch it, you'll be like, "How the hell did he do some of this shit?" But Nolan is like a magician himself, right? Like he will never tell you how he pulled off certain visuals, no matter how many times people asked. This bomb sequence is going to be no different because he said there's no CGI in it. So trying to figure out how he did this bomb detonation scene, I mean, I don't know if he like I don't know if it was just like a scale thing and like he had his team create like the tiniest little bomb ever and it was done on one of those mini stages with a huge close up and like maybe they did blow something up but in reality it's like the size of like a quarter. I have no idea how they did that. Like and like I said, he's going to go to his grave. Anyone on this project, I'm sure, like had to sign an NDA being like, we're not going to tell anyone how Chris Nolan blew shit up in this movie. So I don't know how he did it, but it is a damn good movie explosion. I'll say that. I was impressed with it. Like I remember turning to my buddy who was at the screening with me and just mouthing the words like that was incredible. Like that was kind of worth I was gonna say I was lucky enough to score early screening tickets and waited for a while in front of the theater, so I got in for free. I technically saw the movie for free. I was about to say it's worth the price of admission, but since I didn't pay anything, you get what I'm saying though. It is worth the trip to the movies alone. I mean, it's a Nolan movie, so there's a lot of reasons that it's worth a trip to the movies, but that explosion scene is definitely a standout. Like it's crazy. Miranda Cosgrove for the next Christopher Nolan movie. Yeah, I mean, hey, don't count her out. I mean, haven't seen her in much. I know there was that iCarly reunion and everything. Loved her in School of Rock back in the day, though. So, if she wants to try out for the next Nolan movie, who am I? Who am I to deny her that right? Did you see Barbie yet? Yes, I saw Barbie. I like Oppenheimer more, but Barbie's very solid for what it is. I think it's definitely a fun time at the movies. Um, and people are really into this thing, like even more than I was expecting. Like it's gonna, for better or worse, just because we know where the landscape is and kind of how popular Barbie is as like a topic in people's childhood. It's gonna mop at the box office. Like it's gonna make so much more money than Oppenheimer in the domestic box office, if you ask me. I just feel like anyone that says the other way is crazy, just because like this movie's so marketable. You know, so many girls had Barbies or have Barbies. When I went to the theater yesterday, not only was it one of the most times I've seen the theater packed, like it was absolutely packed, jam packed. Everybody was in pink. Um, Clearly, I didn't get the memo. Me and my fiance showed up in black. You would think we were going to a funeral, but everybody and their mother was in pink. I couldn't believe it. Even when I went to the Oppenheimer screening the day before, there was a Barbie screening at that theater as well. That was an early one. Everybody, you could tell, you just look around and you knew exactly who was going to Barbie. Everybody was in pink. It was kind of surreal, like to see a movie capture society's gaze that heavily. Like people are really, really into this thing. So like I said, I think it's gonna. I don't know if it's gonna kill it at the box office, like in general, like what kind of numbers it's gonna do, but like it's gonna do very well. It's gonna be number one this week and probably the week after. Because I'm trying to think, I don't even know if anything big is coming out next week. I think like Haunted Mansion. I don't think that's gonna have the legs to dethrone something like Barbie. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. It has a very clear message, has a very clear agenda. Um, you know, and the message is good. I didn't find it too preachy. I think there is a type of person that it'll speak to a lot more than me. Like I'm not the target audience. Obviously, I don't need to tell you that. I'm not the target audience for this. But I still thought it was cute. It had a good message, and I think there's some people out there where it's going to be an important message for them. So in that regard, I think it's a good success. I mean, Greta Gerwig is a very talented filmmaker. I think I will say, if that's true, if all those things are true about her, like going on to direct like a trilogy of like Narnia movies, I do think that seems like a little bit of an interesting choice for to have someone helm to have her helm those. But um, the visuals are great. The cinematography was great. All the Barbie Land scenes absolutely pop off the screen. So I feel like that's what you want. Margot Robbie was great. Ryan Gosling really stole the show. Um, you can tell he had a blast playing the role of Ken. Like, I'd be surprised if they don't figure out a project for him to, you know, do this again. If it's a Barbie sequel, if it's a spinoff, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just think like he loved this. So, you know, but I do think this thing goes for a very specific tone though, and it kind of keeps it that way that whole way through. So if this isn't kind of what you're expecting, if you're not vibing with it, you're probably not going to vibe with it. Like I don't think it's going to win you over. If you don't like the first 10 to 15 minutes of this movie, I don't think you're going to leave being like, "Okay, I changed my mind. That was great." But if you vibe with it at the beginning, I think you're really going to vibe with it the whole way through. Got my Barbie tickets for tomorrow. Can't wait. Yeah, dude. Let me know what you think of it. Um, it's an interesting film. I think like there was a surprising amount of adult themes in there, so it's not as kid friendly as I was thinking it was going to be from the start. And I mean, I think it is PG-13 anyway, so that kind of told us what we need to know about that. But like, it's got a positive message. Um, so who cares? But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed Oppenheimer more. Haven't even talked about the movie this week coming out that I enjoyed even more than both of these. We'll get to that in a second, but let's keep going through the comments here. I'll never watch Barbie, but I'll watch Oppenheimer eventually, just not in cinemas. Even though I don't care about Barbie, I don't get tired of the Barbenheimer memes. Yeah, I mean, the memes have been insane for this thing. I mean, So much so that like both Barbie and Oppenheimer, those marketing teams must be just like counting their blessings right now. They like hit the lotto with these movies releasing on the same day. Um, but it's one of those things where we know this did start where Barbie's getting released because the studio was just mad that Christopher Nolan left them to go to another one to make this movie. But um, it ended up working out really well. Do I think though that they won't both make as much money as they could the box office because they're going through this competition, like this fight. So um, we'll see where they both land money wise, but yeah, I mean, having those both in theaters is an absolute win for cinema in general. So Charlie says, "Well, I get anxiety from watching the bomb scenes." Uh, it depends, man. Like, I think it's one of those things where since we know what to expect, since like if you're at all brushed up on this topic, since it's a true story, you'll kind of know what to expect. And I mean, like you talked about, the trailers have hyped it up so much that like we just know what's going to happen, even though some people haven't seen the movie yet. But like, anxious might not be the right term. Um, I don't know what the right term is if anxious isn't the right term, but like, I didn't find myself getting anxious, but I was definitely excited. I was definitely on the edge of my seat. But I don't know if I would say anxious. Maybe you will. Don't quote me. If you end up coming out of the theater breathing through a bag, then I will. Then I'll know I was wrong. But wait, you're not the target audience for Barbie? That's shocking. Yeah, I know. Can you believe that, Charlie? I'm not the exact person they made this Barbie movie for. Even though I've got the pink light in the background in honor of Barbenheimer. Can you believe I'm not the target audience for this movie? But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. My fiance enjoyed it even more than I did. I think there's a very positive female message in there, and I think it's like I said, it's a win for cinemas to have both of these movies battling it out. You know, I can't say enough. The theaters the last 2 days have been absolutely packed, and these are just like the early preview screenings I've been able to get a chance to go to. They aren't even like the real deal yet. I can't even imagine what theaters are going to look like. Unfortunately, I'm away this weekend, so I would have loved to kind of see what the vibe in the movie theaters is this upcoming weekend. So if you guys are going this weekend, maybe you're doing a double feature, which I'm very jealous of. I wish I could, but let me know how the vibe is in the cinemas. Like, I really think it's going to be the most packed you've seen it in a while. Like, more than the droves that came out to see Maverick, more than the droves that came out to see Mission Impossible, or Everything Everywhere All at Once, which really had some word of mouth legs, even though it wasn't a massive box office. Like, it was an indie movie, so not everyone's going to go see that. But like, the theaters have been hustling and bustling, and it's really cool to see. I know how it sounds, but I kind of am a Narnia expert. I love that for you, Dean. That's awesome. Wrote grad papers on it. Okay, now you piqued my interest. Now I know you're the man to go to about this, just because I wrote a grad paper about Shrek, about why the first Shrek is an absolute masterpiece. Got an A on it too, and of course I'll have to share that on my community post one of these days. It's actually pretty funny. But so, I totally get where you're coming from with this. And I'm psyched for Greta to lead them. She knows how to put heart in her films. Yeah, um, she definitely puts her heart into these movies, especially when you see any clips behind the scenes of her filming. Like, I think there was like a great clip of her um, directing Saoirse Ronan and Lucas Hedges, or Lucas Hedge. I always forget if there's an S there, in Lady Bird. And you can just see how like fun and light she keeps the set while she's directing, and she kind of thinks of cool ideas on the fly. She likes to improv a little bit and just get the most organic feeling out of her actors' performances. So I think she's gonna do a good job. She's gonna do a good job. So I'm excited. I think she's doing like a trilogy or something, which is pretty cool. Nicholas watching Oppenheimer in 2 hours. Let's go, dude. You gotta let me know what you think. I don't know I can't remember if you commented on my review. If you did and I'm forgetting, I apologize. But let me know on my review afterwards what you thought. Looking forward to hearing kind of like what you thought of the movie, and just if it lived up to Nolan's golden standard of filmmaking that we all expect out of him now. Because he really just guy knows his way around a camera. I mean, it's the lamest thing on the planet to say. It's so obvious, but like the dude just never misses. He's awesome. Random question: how's the dog? Dog's good, man. Dog's good. I feel bad. Last two, like I really don't do live streams. I want to start doing them more, which is why I did one last month. I'm doing it this month. I'm just making myself do it. But she's usually back there on the couch sometimes when I'm filming. You can kind of see her. I mean, we know the dog, the puppy always gets clicks, right? You know, you get so many people in the comments saying like, love the dog. They could hate my opinion and think it's absolute horseshit. But if the dogs be looking cute in the background, they're all for that. So I'll try to remember next time to put the dog in the live stream. My brother said at the theater near my house in the hallway, one half of the movie posters was Barbie, the other half was Oppenheimer. Yeah, you know, I think it creates a great opportunity for movie theaters to just kind of have fun and like embrace the quirkiness of this whole situation. Like it doesn't happen that often, right? That two films that are this hyped up and are this opposite are kind of like going, you know, I don't want to call it head to head because I think both are going to win pretty big, but are going head to head, you know, in the box office on the same damn day. And I really think this mixed with They Cloned Tyrone, which comes out on Netflix tomorrow, which is my favorite movie of the year. If you haven't seen me, you know, ranting and raving about it, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But those three movies combined coming out tomorrow, like I really don't see how any movie or sorry, any week could top this week at the movies in the entire year. Like um I seriously think this is the best week we're ever going to have at the movies in 2023. And it's just because it also spans across so many different topics and genres. I mean, you've got a Nolan film, you've got a Greta Gerwig Barbie movie, Mission Impossible still in theaters. Like, there's truly a movie in theaters right now for every type of movie fan. And that's what I love. I mean, like, I'm at the cinema like 3 to 4 times a week sometimes. So seeing that varying degree of movies and good movies at that, like, it's awesome. So I think this is going to be the best week at the movies that we have all year. Oh, I like this. Do you think you would survive a Saw situation or Friday the 13th situation? Okay. Right off the bat, I think I'm going with Friday the 13th. You know, and I'm a big fan of both of these franchises. I've seen every Friday the 13th movie, I've seen every Saw movie. I don't know if I'm looking forward to the new Saw. Like, I'm obviously going to go see it day one just because I've enjoyed this franchise in the past and kind of grew up with it, which might sound kind of like twisted, but I'm a sick puppy. Um, but I think in the Saw movies, sometimes some of the traps, the deck is stacked against you already. There's no getting out of it. I think like there are some where they're just sadistically made for you to fail in a very gratuitous way. Like there are some, you look at the later films, there's a lot of traps in there that are just no win, lose lose scenarios. Um, so that's why Saw would be out, especially if I was in a Saw trap. I feel like with other people. You go to those ones that are like with a bunch of other people. There's always ways that they can screw you over and like you can't reason with them. So if I had to do a Saw trap, it would be me by myself in a room being like, all right, let's figure this shit out and get me the hell out of here. But I think the better answer here is the Friday 13th situation. And that's for the opposite reason. There is a bunch of people running around, but we're not like trapped up and like constrained. So you can work together, you can try to figure stuff out. And it's like if you've seen the movies, you know the usual like Jason Voorhees tropes. So I feel like I have a better chance in the Friday 13th situation. If I've got more room to roam around, like I have a whole forest to try and plan something and, you know, get my escape plan going, rather than just being a sitting duck in a room chained up in a saw trap. Like, I think you got to go Friday the 13th at this point. Can you share your Shrek paper? Yeah, I'll have to see if I can. I'll have to see if I can dig up the Shrek paper. That's a classic. That's a John Sullivan classic paper. I'll have to see if I can. I'll have to see if I can pull that up. Nolan's my favorite director, so I'm sure I'll love it. Yeah, dude. I think it comes off as such a basic pick to say that Christopher Nolan's your favorite director, but like it's also such an easy choice. Like it's hard to deny saying that he's anyone's favorite director. He's just so good at what he does. The technical aspects are always incredible. So you know, it's absurd. Like the guy's filmography, his track record is pretty much just unmatched. Um, I don't know how he does it. Can't wait to see what he does next. Knowing Nolan, I'm sure he'll probably take like, I don't know, 2, 3 years off before we see him do something else. But like, he's just such a day one director, you know, like you have to see what he's doing, what he's been working on the second it releases in theaters. Like, he's one of the remaining titans in the industry. Um, so whenever he puts out anything, you gotta run to the cinema, man. It's too good. Gotta run, but I'll catch the replay. Thanks for coming, Dean. Appreciate you hopping in the comments, and hope to see you in the channel again really soon. If you're to any AMA kind of questions, what are some of your favorite comedies? So I'm a raunchy comedy kind of guy. So, you know, your Step Brothers, your Super Bads, your 40-Year-Old Virgins, your Knocked Ups, your Funny People. I think Funny People's pretty underrated, gets a bad rap from people. I don't mind how long it is, and I think it's a great movie. Even though I do think Judd Apatow has fallen off a little bit, but that's a tale for another time. Um, but I love those kinds of movies. I also really love the like indie heartfelt comedies too. Like one that I always bring up. I think it's gotta be maybe my top comfort movie. Actually, as that just came out of my mouth, I thought of another one too. So I'll say two of them. But the one I was originally thinking of is Safety Not Guaranteed. Mark Duplass, Aubrey Plaza, Jake M. Johnson, a bunch of other people in there. I think Kristen Bell's in there. I don't know who else. But so that's such a good comfort movie for me. There's like time travel, there's action, there's tons of comedy. It's a lot more downplayed. Like I said, it's an indie, so it's like it's not like you're not going to get the gravitas and the ego of something like a Step Brothers that's really out there in your face. But I just think it's really, you know, it's a great comedy. But the second one I was thinking of was Midnight in Paris, you know, which isn't totally a comedy, but there's a lot of funny scenarios in there. And it's just super heartfelt. You get to see Owen Wilson do what he does best, just walking around. Wow. And yeah, that movie is killer. I have those movies very highly ranked on my list of favorite movies ever. I think I have that linked somewhere in my letterbox. If you ever want to check that out, I think I have the letterbox profile linked in my description. But yeah, no, both of those movies I think are really cool, less conventional comedies, more heartfelt, more emotional, more drama stuff going on there. So yeah, I really dig both of those. Barbie's the worst movie because this worst thing you facts. I have no idea what that means, but I take it that you're an Oppenheimer man. Um, but you know, I enjoyed it. I understand it might be polarizing for some people. Not everyone's gonna love it. It's clearly like a very it's in its niche and it's going forward very unapologetically. So if you're not a fan of it, I totally understand. But I dug it. You know, I have to go with one last question. If you're gonna have dinner with four directors, which would it be, and what would you eat? Oh, okay. This is so tough. Um, God, God damn it. So I feel like Tarantino has to be there. I know that's such a boring answer, but I feel like Tarantino, Spielberg, just because Raiders is my favorite movie ever. I absolutely love Jaws and Jurassic Park. So kind of just like picking his brain. about when blockbuster filmmaking was still blockbuster filmmaking. I know I sound like I'm on like my soapbox right now, but like when all the stuff you wanted to film in movies had to be real, like you had to go out and make stuff to, really get stuff on film. Like you wanted to film a stunt, you had to build this bridge. Like you couldn't do CGI. You wanted to have a dinosaur, and he did use CGI, obviously in Jurassic Park, but like build an animatronic. He's such a good vision to on screen type of guy. Like I love that about him. And then so those are my first two: Tarantino, Spielberg. Tony Scott, I think, is an underrated pick. I absolutely love Tony Scott's movies. He's a great action director. R.I.P. to the late great Tony Scott. True Romance is one of my top 5 movies ever. And that links back to Tarantino because he wrote it. He didn't get a chance to direct it. He wasn't famous enough. He made Tony Scott pick between that script and Reservoir Dogs. And then he said, "Okay, I'll do True Romance." And then he tried to beg Tarantino to let him do Reservoir Dogs too, but he said, "No way, I'm doing that one." But so I think Tony Scott does a lot of really cool stuff. His action movies have a lot of heart. They have super memorable characters. I just watched another one of his last night again, The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans, and Halle Berry. He just has such an awesome signature flair to him. So I think I'd love to pick his brain about some of those big budget action movies that he would do. And he had just such bombastic stunts, awesome dialogue, that kind of stuff. So he's up there for me. I love Tony Scott. Um, and then actually, funny enough, I'm not doing this just for the Scott connection there, but probably Ridley Scott, honestly. He has such a wide variety of movies, and I love so many of them. Like I love Alien. The Last Duel from 2021, I thought was the best movie of that year, and almost no one saw it, which is crazy. I think I was in a theater almost by myself, and the dueling scenes in that were so intense, I almost wanted to stand on my chair and cheer. So that Gladiator, Blade Runner. I mean, you can't deny this guy's resume. So I can't wait to see Napoleon that's coming out later, and I can't wait to see Gladiator 2. I think that's going to be awesome. So those are my 4: Ridley Scott, Tony Scott, Tarantino, Spielberg. And then what would I eat? A Royale with cheese. That's what I'm eating. A Royale with cheese. The super chat from Woods North, a big fan of the channel. I'm a big fan of his too. Make sure you follow him if you're outdoorsy at all, if you're not just a keyboard cowboy like I am. What's your social security number? I believe I told you this already every time you text me personally. But if you DM me on Twitter every day for the next 11 days, I'll give you 1 digit every day, and then you can try and piece it together. Maybe, but you're going to forget. What's up? I'm new here. What is going on? How are you? I'm glad you found your way onto this little stream we're doing. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that a lot, and I'm always happy to have new people in here. So, if you like talking movies, you're in the right place. So happy to have you here, dude. Any movie questions or whatever, feel free to shoot them along. All right, let's see here. Jeffrey Miller just got back from Oppenheimer, and it was dialogue heavy, but I loved it. Big stars playing minor roles. That surprised me, but it shouldn't. Yeah. So I think it's a really good movie. And I mean, it's probably the coldest take on the planet, right? Because it's a Christopher Nolan movie. We know it's excellent. But I think it was surprising seeing how many big name actors were in there with such minor roles. So I just that's the push and pull of the draw in notoriety these Nolan movies have, right? Like everyone wants to be in them. They don't care if it's a 5-second role. They want to be on there. So it means you get top tier talent. Everything's really well acted. But on the flip side, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen a little bit. Like, you just don't have room for all of them, unfortunately. So you'll see actors that you're really looking forward to. You'll be like the Leo meme in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood throughout the whole movie, but they don't stick around for very long. Like I said, a couple notable ones that I mentioned earlier. Josh Peck, Jack Quaid, Alex Wolff is in there, but if you blink, you'll miss him. Even Florence Pugh gets a little shortchanged there, and she's an absolute tippity top A-list name. She ends up only being in the movie, I don't know, what is it, like 15, 10 minutes of screen time, maybe? So, it's a push and pull. It's the Nolan blessing and a curse, where you get such an awesome cast, but you don't really have places to put all of them for very long. So I think, you know, but you can't deny that means that, like I said, everything's well acted. Everything's really well acted from bottom to top, even the minor roles. So nothing takes you out of the movie unless you're one of those people where like having too many famous people that might actually detract and take you out of the movie to begin with, because you're like, oh, I'm not even paying attention to the movie now because just like so and so celebrity just walked in. So that's something to be said for that. But for me, it really worked. And like I said earlier, Jeffrey, I'm curious to have your opinion on it, just because you just walked out of the theater. For me, Robert Downey Jr., massive standout of this film. Like, I think if anyone's getting nominated for an Oscar or winning an Oscar out of this film, it should be him. He's incredible. The best movie he's done by far since the MCU. Apologies to all the Doolittle fans out there, but yeah, no, I thought he was great. He deserves all the praise in the world. And even if it wasn't my favorite Nolan movie, I'm still like constantly thinking about that Downey performance 2 days later. I think that was such a great role for him. And I think it's going to be one that he's going to be remembered for. Um, you know, so I thought it was incredible. Didn't do any research for this movie, so I didn't even know RDJ is in the movie. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because in all the trailers and the promotional material, I don't think they even have him say a word. I think he's just in the trailer, like he's like sitting with his arms crossed in a courtroom, or, in a legal proceeding. Um, you don't really see him talk, move, interact, anything. You just kind of know that he's there. He was phenomenal for me. He did the best acting of his career. I always say that I think my favorite performance of him has always been in 2007's David Fincher's Zodiac, which is an absolute killer movie. If you haven't seen that, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely my top 100 favorite movies of all time. Might even be my favorite Fincher, which is absolutely crazy to say because he's got such an awesome filmography. But this role in Oppenheimer, it might rival that. It might rival that role in Zodiac for me. But Jeff, I'm gonna guess that means you saying you have not seen Zodiac yet. In which case, dude, you know what? Just this second, I'm looking it up if it's streaming anywhere right now, because God, you gotta watch this movie. Like, this is like it's the best Fincher movie by far that no one's seen. Like, there's a lot of people, I feel like if like it's not a big cinephile movie. I mean, it's not a big casual movie fan for some reason. Casual movie fan movie. Just because like it kind of just falls at the wayside. I don't know why. But it is one of my favorite movies ever, unless you're like a diehard Fincher fan. A lot of people haven't seen it. Of course, it's not streaming on anything, but it's worth the like $4 or $5, man. Like, Zodiac is an incredible serial killer drama. Um, Fincher directs the absolute hell out of it. Gyllenhaal's incredible. He gives one of my favorite performances, and he's like one of my favorite actors. Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo. What is that dude? He's in everything, but I always forget his name. John Carroll Lynch. John Carroll Lynch is in it. He does an awesome job in Zodiac. Highly suggest that. I really think it might be my favorite David Fincher. And that's coming from a guy that was a film bro at a very young age and was obsessed with like Fight Club and Gone Girl. I really think it might be his best work, and I also think it's his least watched work, unless you count Alien 3, but that shouldn't be watched by anyone anyway. Movie that movie is a total dumpster fire. Apologies if anyone enjoys that. I enjoy certain aspects of it, but it is not a good movie, and that's coming from a guy that loves the Alien franchise. Loved Zodiac. Yeah, dude. I really think it's like it might be Fincher's. Actually, no, hold on. I don't think I can say it's Fincher's masterpiece when he also did The Social Network. I think there could be a battle there. There could be a real battle there. Because Fincher is just he's such a cool director. I love the way his visuals look, and he's a great storyteller. I'll always be mad at Netflix that they never gave us season three of Mindhunter. Mindhunter rocked. That was an awesome show. Highly suggest you check that out if you haven't seen it, even though it got canceled and Netflix not doing it anymore. And I also think there's a little part of David Fincher that admitted he didn't want to keep going with it anyway. So I don't know who's to blame there. But even though there's only two seasons of it, it's really, really good. Like there are some loose ends because we don't see how the story progresses, but it's worth it. It is so goddamn good. Highly suggest watching Mindhunter on Netflix. Great performances, killer setting, filmed really well. And if you're into the whole serial killer thing, and if you liked Zodiac, his movie Zodiac, like I've been ranting and raving like a crazed lunatic about, if that's a movie you enjoyed, then you will love Mindhunter. It's right in that same vein. It was like, okay, what would I get if Fincher was 10, 20 years older, but never stopped doing serial killer stuff. So Zodiac is amazing. Yeah, Zodiac is amazing. Ending still gives me chills. Yeah, I mean, I still think the best scene is that iconic scene in the movie where Gyllenhaal's trying to investigate and get more facts about who this guy really is and ends up in that basement. That basement scene, you want to talk about like one of the most effective horror scenes that's not in a horror movie. I really think that is effective as all hell. It's claustrophobic, it's dark, it's dramatic. Such an awesome, like feverish and panicked performance by Gyllenhaal. And it was really cool seeing Gyllenhaal in that role because like it wasn't really his usual like macho performance. Like you look at stuff that he's doing now, like The Covenant, you look at like Southpaw, you look at like Nightcrawler. I don't know. It's all these like crazed lunatics that are dark, they're macho, they're confident in themselves. Like he played like a cartoonist in this movie that was just obsessed with the case. He wasn't really like equipped to dealing with serial killers. So it was super cool seeing that roll out of him. Uh Gyllenhaal's just the best, man. Gyllenhaal's just the best. John Carroll is extremely underrated. Yeah, dude. He is really good. If you ever want someone to play a side character in a movie that's going to stand the hell out, give you chills, be super memorable, like John Carroll Lynch, um, he's a good guy to do it. He's really, really a good guy to do it. Um, he's like becoming such a memorable little character actor now. Like, it's like if you see him like 10th build on the credits of a movie, you're like, all right, this is probably gonna be pretty good. Like, it's probably gonna be pretty damn good if John Carroll Lynch is in it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think what else he was in. Because he's got so much good stuff in his resume. He was good in The Founder. I don't even remember him in he might be the husband in Fargo. I was gonna say I don't remember him in Fargo, but I think he's Francis McDormand's husband in that. Oh, yo. Okay. The Invitation. It's a really good horror thriller with Logan Marshall Green, who's a guy that I love. Also, check out his movie Upgrade if you haven't seen it. It's like one of the most underrated sci-fi movies of all time. If you like the concept of like Venom, where it's like something taking over your body and like you can't control it, like Body Snatcher kind of things, Upgrade does that way better than Venom does. Highly suggest you watch Venom. It's like sci-fi robot John Wick. That's all I'll say. If you're not sold by that little synopsis, I don't know what will win you over. But getting back to John Carroll Lynch here, The Invitation kicks ass. Okay. It's one of those movies that has just that unsettling feel for a horror movie. Like you don't really know what's wrong. There's something you can't put your finger on though. Like there's something not right in what's going on here. And it's very dramatic. It's set up with a very simple premise. It's all stuff that takes place at like a friend's dinner party and everyone's around the table. Shit just goes wild. It's like it's like you go to a Christmas family dinner times a million. Okay, you think about your craziest dinner with your family ever, and it takes a pretty dark, horrific turn. Highly suggest you watch The Invitation if you haven't. Logan Marshall Green, like I said, he's a guy like John Carroll Lynch. He's not like that little bit of a tiny character actor. He's more of a leading man when he can be, but I really like Logan Marshall Green too. I think he's awesome. Might watch Zodiac tonight and let me know, dude. If you watch Zodiac tonight, especially after watching Oppenheimer earlier in the day, you're gonna have like out of everyone around the globe, you're gonna have one of the best single movie watching days if you watch Oppenheimer and um, follow it up with Zodiac. Those are two absolutely killer movies, very different movies, obviously. In Zodiac, I like a lot more. That's not any shot at Oppenheimer, but Zodiac is like top 50 movie ever for me. I absolutely love that movie. Um, but yeah, let me know if you end up watching that tonight because it is absolutely killer. Can't overstate that enough. I really think it might be Fincher at his best. Like I said, I think there's an argument to say that Social Network's his best movie. And on a certain day, you might catch me saying that as well. But yeah, no, I think Zodiac gives it a run for its money. You should definitely check it out. The Clown and American Horror Show Freak Show. Yep, I remember that. I didn't watch that season. I think I only watched like the first or second season of American Horror Story, but I remember he was in that. He had a really cool design, and he looked like he was definitely the scariest thing that they've included in that show. And the man loves The Invitation. You know, this guy's got good taste. You know, what can he say? I love suspense movies. They're just missing all these, dude. I've got a million of them. If that's kind of what you're into, I think that's really one of my favorite genres. Is like that thriller, suspenseful, dramatic movie. If they're, and if it's like a super tight one that's like 90 minutes, those are the best. Those are the absolute best. But I'll have to maybe I'll do like if there's a week where there's not a lot of movie releases coming out, maybe I'll do like at least a short or like a full video or even like a live like this. Like I'll come with a bunch of notes of like my favorite thrillers ever released and just kind of if people pick different genres, I'll come prepared with like some picks. I could also just share out my letterbox list of my top 100 movies ever. I'm sure for me at least, obviously there's some gems in there. Hopefully there's some stuff in there you guys haven't seen and it's not the most like obvious movie list ever. But maybe you guys will like some of that stuff. So maybe I'll do a full video on that. That'd be cool. I'm taking notes. Dude, I love it. I this is like this is my dream, just like talking to movies, talking about movies. I happy to do it. Love starting the movie dialogues. So what year did The Invitation come out? Um, Still have it pulled up. It came out in 2015. So not like, God, I mean, I don't know. The years fly by, right? Like I was gonna say, like, wasn't that long ago, but I mean, like, in 2 years, that's a decade. That's goddamn crazy. I can't believe that. But and that's another one of those because it left such an impact on me. That's another one of those where, like, looking back, I it stuck with me. So it really just felt like it was, it wasn't that long ago. But 2015, man, like I'm getting old. So, not great. Okay, no, I'm going. These lives are always fun. Have a wonderful night. Dude, I appreciate you hopping on. Always fun having you comment. You always bring some pretty good questions. I always love the stuff like Saw Trap, what I rather Saw Trap or like a Friday the 13th experience. Those are always fun to mess around with. So Appreciate you hopping on the live and looking forward to seeing you on more of them. The super sticker from Jeffrey, dude, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. All that little stuff just like really goes towards supporting the channel, and I appreciate it, man. I think you were on the last stream too. That was the first time I was ever monetized. So I'm pumped that that happened. A lot of hard work. Basically, treat this thing as like my second job, you know. So I appreciate the super sticker there, and hopefully, I can keep bringing you guys like the same level of content that I have been. So, and like I said, I'll take this time to say this because I like saying this to every live stream, pretty much. Like any suggestions you have, like if there's any certain type of video you want to see, any certain content movie wise you think that you're not getting anywhere else on YouTube and you want it from me, always let me know in the comments or something. Like if it's a good idea, I'll oblige, man. Like I love trying new things when it comes to talking movies. So if you have a good idea, let me know. Just shoot me a message, like I said, or put it on my Instagram. DMs are always open. So if you guys ever think of anything, let me know because I'm always down to put out some new movie content. That sounds fun. I don't know what this is in regards to. Maybe it's in regards to regards to one of the movies I mentioned, maybe like Zodiac or The Invitation. Or if it wasn't, I apologize. But all the topics I've covered in the last like 5 minutes were fun. So take your pick. Are you gay? No, I am not. I don't even know what else to say about that, but just no, I'm not. Not like it would matter anyway, just because I'm a movie channel. But I appreciate you taking interest in me regardless, but I'm not. Suspenseful thriller adventure movies are the best. Yeah, they are so much fun. I really think they're just a blast. Like, and it can be hard to find a good one of those just because, suspenseful thriller is one thing, adventure movies another thing. Sometimes when they mix together, there's varying results. It just doesn't really mix all the time. But you're right. If you find them, they're a blast. Do you agree with Nicole Kidman that we come to this place for magic? Dude, I keep doing this to myself. I keep saying I'm going to memorize that whole speech. We come to this place for magic. Heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Like there's something else, something when the lights begin to dim. But yes, I agree with Nicole Kidman. We come to this place for magic. And this month with Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, and Barbie, we've gotten it. We've gotten magic. So I doubt we're going to get that from Disney's Haunted Mansion next week. I would love to be proven wrong, but we'll see. But this might go down as the best month for movies in 2023. After seeing these two movies, has your top movie of the year changed? Sorry if you already mentioned this. I just hopped on. No, you're all good, dude. No. But I'll tell you this. This actually gives me a good segue. These two movies have not changed my top movie of the year. But another movie that's coming out tomorrow did take my top spot. So you might be hearing about this movie for the first time, unless you follow my my Twitter or my Letterboxd, because I've been ranting and raving about this movie like a lunatic. There's a movie coming on Netflix tomorrow called They Cloned Tyrone with Jamie Foxx, John Boyega, Tiana Paris. It's the best movie of the year for me. It is incredible. Netflix really hasn't been pushing it very much. So, like I said, if you haven't heard of it, wouldn't be that surprised. It's a damn shame that they're not. This movie's unbelievable. It's like a mix between Get Out and Sorry to Bother You, without saying too much, because it really is one of those movies you want to go in blind for. Like, I didn't even watch a trailer for it. I went in completely blind. It's about a drug dealer, a pimp, and a prostitute banding together to uncover this possible secret government conspiracy doing a cloning operation in their hometown. That's all I'm going to say. If I said any more of it, you'd be mad at me when you watch the movie. And, I'm big on like going into these things fresh and blind as possible. So I highly suggest you check that one out tomorrow. It just mashes up so many genres together. Like it's a horror, it's a comedy, it's a thriller, it's a mystery, it's a black exploitation film. Like how many movies can you list that mix that many genres and don't just fall flat on their ass? Like it's balanced so well. The guy Jewel Taylor that directs it, it's his first directorial debut. Well, that it's an oxymoron. It's his directorial debut. It's his first directorial debut, but I guess it is as well. He kills it. He has such a confident voice. His visuals are awesome. Like the way he films this movie and directs this movie seems like it's from someone that has had so many more years of experience than him. And then the cast, Jamie Foxx is awesome. Tiana Paris is awesome. They're both hilarious. They're both kind of badass too. John Boyega, he does his best work that I've ever seen out of him in this movie. It's kind of similar to his role in Attack the Block. If you saw that when he was a kid, that was like his first film ever. But like he's this city kid that gets thrown into this conspiracy, and like he's like it or not, he's the only one that's can figure all this shit out. Um, he puts out his best work. And I mean, the vast majority of the mainstream audience only knows him from the new Star Wars trilogy. It's no shocker that I think that new trilogy is kind of a dumpster fire. You don't bring out the torches and pitchforks, but I always liked his presence as Finn in those movies. But he kills it here. Incredible film. I can't wait to rewatch it again. And it's another one of those kind of like first watch movies where like I want to be there when the people that I recommended to watch it. Like I'm going to be such an annoying audience member, right? Like I'm going to be like looking at them more than I'm going to be looking at the movie, seeing if they reacted to like all the ooh ah parts that like I loved. So I'm just going to be like on the couch looking at my buddies, trying to make sure that they think it's as awesome and badass of a movie as I did. But yeah, that comes out tomorrow, or I guess if you're in California, it comes out at midnight tonight. Highly suggest you check that out. I have a review out for that one too. So let me know what you think of that one if you watch it, because I loved it. I look like a crazed lunatic on my Twitter page because anytime there's an account that posts about it, I quote it and say how awesome I thought the movie was, because it really seems like no one is gassing it up and putting out PR for it very much. So, yeah, I mean, I'm babbling now at this point, but it's just super unique. It's a blast from start to finish. And there's something in there that everyone can enjoy because it literally touches on every single genre. So I think if you guys like Get Out, you like Sorry to Bother You, you like thrillers, you like horrors, you like mysteries, you like comedies, which I mean, I just listed every goddamn genre. There's no way that you don't like one of those. Highly suggest you check out They Cloned Tyrone. Comes out tomorrow on Netflix. It is currently sitting at my number one spot of my 2023 movies. Trying to think. Well, I'll tell you guys what rounds up my top five too, just because I'm already looking at it myself. Top five right now for me is They Cloned Tyrone, John Wick 4, Across the Spider Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Air. Those are my top five movies of the year so far. We'll see if anything shakes up that lineup. Regards to the idea of you getting some favorite movies together for a stream. Yeah, I should do that. If that's something you guys are interested in, maybe I'll do like a favorite movie stream, or like even break it down by genre. Maybe I'll do a live, like here are my favorite thrillers, here are my favorite comedies, or I could even break it down even further and only talk about ones that are streaming. So like if I'm recommending a movie, you can hear my annoying ass talk about it and rant and rave like a lunatic, and then you can just get off the stream and go watch it right then and there and let me know what you think of it. So maybe I'll break it down even further, and I'll do ones that are only streaming. Oh my god, a $5 super sticker from Alez himself, a big friend of the channel, one of my best buddies. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I think we're going to be doing a board game night in the next 2 weeks, hopefully, or 3 weeks. I'm away a lot on weekends, unfortunately. I've never been the busy summer guy, and I'm the busy summer guy this year. Not too happy about it, but we'll get that going. Thank you again, Alez. Meter, what's going on, man? Happy to see you in here. Happy to see you liked Barbie too. I saw your review earlier. I'm glad. I think you said it was your most anticipated of the year, so I'm glad it lived up to the hype for you. A thumbnail game on point. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I like saw someone do like a black and white mix Oppenheimer Barbie thing, and I was like, that'll be perfect for my live tonight. So totally jacked. Little trend jack there. Had to do it. But happy you're here, man. Thanks for stopping by. I wasn't prepared for how many pink shirts I'd see today at the theater. Yeah, dude. I don't know if you were in the stream already when I said this. Um, I saw so many pink outfits on Tuesday when I was going to my Oppenheimer screening and yesterday. Like you just looked out, it was a sea of people in pink. It was so obvious who was going to see which movie. Like I'm there all in like gray and black waiting for Oppenheimer, and then everyone else is standing there in pink. It was like a crazy divide. It was literally like the Barbenheimer memes in real life, like with half the screen being black and white, half of it being pink. It was insane. And then like when I saw Barbie last night, packed crowd, absolutely massive theater. One of the theaters by my house has one of those select cinemas with like the Dolby X Plus, so the screen's massive. The sound is insane. I really think it's got like some of the best state of the art sound I've ever experienced in a movie theater. So I was in that for Barbie last night, and I was in like the front row of the middle section, so there was like that whole section, but I was right behind like the aisle basically where people would go back and forth before that front section where all the front seats are. And I would just like look back and it was just like a sea of pink, man. And they're like nailing it. The movie theaters are nailing it with like the promotional items, like the popcorn containers that are like they look like a Barbie box. It's like a hard plastic Barbie box, and like the drinks are just like a beach ball, like a volleyball thing. Like they kind of nailed it. So I think this is like the perfect weekend. This is like theaters and movies combining to just make a boatload of cash because the movies both are very good and they can sell a lot of merch. There's getting a lot of butts in seats for a lot of different reasons. And like I said, you throw Mission Impossible into the mix as well. There's just something here for every type of movie fan. So yeah, it's a great movie month on both in the cinema and streaming. So you love Get Out, you'll check it out. Yeah, man, I really think it's one of the best comparisons. And it's really cool seeing that like, Get Out, we look back at it now, it was easily one of the best directorial debuts we've seen in like a decade from Jordan Peele. That was such an awesome movie. I still rewatch it whenever I get the chance or whenever I'm in the mood. It's just such a great thriller and it's pretty funny too at the same time. Um, but um, that and Sorry to Bother You, you mix those together. I really think that's a good little comparison there. High praise, heard good things, but now I'm definitely excited. Yeah, highly suggest. I won't bore you guys giving you the exact same spiel as I did, but with different word choice because I love talking about this movie. I would talk about this movie all day. But yeah, I really dug it, and I think you guys will too. Because I said I think it's just like a really easy movie to love because it tackles so many different genres and stuff. Oh, LS, thank you. If you couldn't tell, this is a brand new Lulu shirt. Just came in the mail like 4 hours ago. Very excited about it. So thank you for noticing. Appreciate it. You're too kind. Jeffrey, question about Oppenheimer. Does the black and white scenes, are they supposed to stand for something? I was thinking they have to mean something, but over my head. Yeah, I want to rewatch it because like I said, I've only seen it one time. It seems like Nolan just used them to kind of break up time periods, jumping back and forth and kind of how the story was going to go. Um, I don't know if it's more significant than that. Um, but it's interesting because I feel like there were some black and white scenes that took place before the central narrative and stuff that took place after the central narrative was in black and white. So I don't know if it was just kind of showing us like, hey, the stuff in color is just signified as the main plot that these other two things sandwiched around it aren't a part of. But I don't totally know the answer. And I don't think I was paying great enough attention. Like I was just so involved in the story and obviously noticed the style of some of these scenes being in black and white. And a lot of those Downey scenes were in black and white. I think he was way more in black and white than he was in color. Um, but I think I'm gonna have to rewatch it again to really pinpoint. But as of right now, my answer, only seeing it once, is I feel like I don't know. A good way of saying it is maybe like the sandwich thing. Like it's like the main narrative was in color, and then you have the black and white stuff from the past. You have the black and white stuff, the stuff that preceded the main plot. Um, but yeah, that's the answer. No, I have no idea if that's correct. But like I said, I need to watch again. So I got to try and get to the cinema very soon. Like I said, I'm going away, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to in a little bit. And then I'm seeing like Haunted Mansion on Wednesday next week, but I got to see if I can sneak in another IMAX screening. Um, my press screening wasn't in IMAX, so I gotta see if I can see this on the biggest screen possible. I know I can see it in IMAX. I just kind of want to find one of those IMAX and 70 millimeter screenings, which I wasn't able to go to because that's not where the screening was being, you know, offered. Um, but I just want to make sure this is such a special movie. The Nolan event, like the Christopher Nolan movie, is an event every time it comes out. So I want to make sure that I can see it in 70 millimeter. And I'm stuck, right? Because like I have an IMAX screen near me. I have an indie theater that I love near me that's 70 millimeter. But it's like one or the other. So there's a place I think like an hour and a half 45, an hour and a half away from me, that is doing those 70 millimeter IMAX screenings. So I think that's you have to bite the bullet and travel a little bit. I'm usually not used to traveling for movies all that much just because I fortunately live in a good place where like all the theaters are right around me. So we'll see if I get a chance to do that hopefully early next week because we know these IMAX movies like they don't stay in IMAX for very long, unfortunately. So with a Nolan movie, gotta make sure that I do that. But yeah, so I mean, anyone in the chat too. I'm wondering like, what are your guys's top 5 movies of the year so far? Like I said, mine. They cloned Tyrone, John Wick 4, Across the Spider Verse, Air, Guardians 3. I think those round out my top 5. So like, what are your top 5 movies of the year so far? Um, you don't have to order them too. Like, if you're kind of jumbled up and you don't know what's going to take what spot, you just know what 5 are going to be in there. That's cool too. But I'm curious to see where everyone's lands. I mean, just like seeing stuff online, it seems like Oppenheimer and Barbie might end up in a lot of people's top 5, which is cool. I thought they were very good movies. They aren't in my top 5, but I think they're very well done, and it makes sense that they'd be in someone's. Um, Dark horse for me is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves. I absolutely loved that movie. Saw it in theaters like 3 times. Um, Absolute shame that it didn't make as much money as I wanted it to because I wanted a sequel or I wanted like it to start like an anthology franchise. Um, but it is an awesome movie. I think it's streaming on like Paramount or Peacock or something like that. So if you haven't checked that movie out, highly suggest it. I was a big fan of that one. I'm trying to think what other obvious picks. Maybe Mission Impossible and Evil Dead Rise will sneak into like a couple. You'll see it less, but it'll sneak into some people's top 5s. I thought those were both great too. Um, I thought this has been a pretty good year for movies so far. And I know we're nearing the last third of it. But I really think it's been a solid year for movies. 2023, thank God, because it was looking a little bleak there. I thought last year was pretty good too, but then like I think like 2020 and 2021, and some of that is pandemic created because people just weren't working and they couldn't work and stuff. But it's good to see that it seems like we're back on track. So for a movie fan like me, absolutely love to see that. Hyped about it. So yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, there's a multitude of different orders that I could see people putting their top five in. So that always know when you have a good dense movie year and people are having trouble creating their top fives. Um, that's it's a solid year for movies. That's a great problem to have. Um, so can't complain as a movie fan, as a movie obsessed cinephile film bro individual myself. Um, that is a great problem to have. All right, let's see here. So I am probably going to wrap this up pretty soon. I see it's coming to 11 p.m. where I am right now. Um, so probably going to get off in a few minutes. If anyone has any like last minute questions, comments, throw them my way and I'll stay on. But if not, we'll wrap this up and I'll make sure to do this next month too. I think I'm kind of liking the whole monthly live stream thing. I think it's pretty fun. So I should keep it up. If you guys like it, and it seems like you guys like it, um, I'll keep doing the whole monthly live stream thing. I think it's more chill, more laid back. If I'm just doing reviews, it's you lose touch with the common man. I like talking with fellow movie people. That's what I started this channel for in the first place. So heard Talk to Me good. Are you seeing Talk to Me soon? So I've heard that's good too. And I'm a massive horror guy. So I really want to see Talk to Me. Um, Unfortunately, the screening I was going to go to was on the same night I saw Barbie last night. It was the same time I saw Barbie last night. So I couldn't swing it. I already bought tickets for me and my fiance to see Barbie. Probably gonna end up obviously as like a more culturally significant movie. So like I wanted to make sure I got to see that before I went away for this weekend and to kind of just see it while the hype was at an all-time high. Like the sooner I got to see Barbie, the better for that reason. So I didn't get to go see Talk to Me. I've heard nothing but good things. A lot of my reviewer buddies have said that it's very solid. And I'm pretty sure it's from a couple YouTubers. Like, I think there's a couple YouTube dudes that made this movie. So obviously, I don't know if I'd refer to myself as a YouTuber because I'm very small potatoes compared to those guys. But being someone that tinkers around with YouTube, I admire the hell out of that. I think that's really cool that these YouTube guys, I think it's like their channel name's like Raka Raka. I have no idea. I've never heard of them myself, but I know that they made this movie and people are digging it. And it seems like it's yet another win for the horror community. I really think us horror fans this year and last year have been absolutely feasting, especially when you look at last year with like X, Pearl, Barbarian, Smile, which, I wasn't insanely high on Smile, but like it made a lot of cash. And anytime a horror movie cleans up at the box office, I'm a fan of that. But I think Talk to Me is going to be very solid. I've heard very good things. I've heard comparisons to the Babadook, which seem to be inevitable. I haven't watched a trailer. I'm trying to go into this one blind. It seems like that's the best idea. Um, so we'll see when I get a chance to see it. The images I've seen of it look cool. I don't even know the premise. Like it does seem like I'm always looking after last year. I'm always looking for the next Barbarian, the one that I don't really watch a trailer for or anything, and takes me by surprise. So this might be it. Um, I actually asked a kid I know, a fellow film review colleague, if you will, if you allow me to be pretentious as all hell. He saw Talk to Me last week. I asked if it was going to be this year's Barbarian. He said no. So we'll see. We'll see if I agree with him. But yeah, I mean, I'm always looking like Barbarian was so funny. It had some legitimate scares in there, some big time thrills. Like that was one of the, obviously the best cinema experience for me last year. It's hard to beat Top Gun. Like that was such a thrilling and that was an adrenaline shot to the forehead, basically. Um, but if you're looking at more of an indie route, or just horror experience, my best horror movie experience was probably Barbarian last year. Even though I love X is so polished. It's such a great take on that slasher genre of like a 70s subgenre. I think it rocks, and I absolutely love Mia Goth. Mia Goth is quickly becoming one of those people that if she's in a movie, I will watch it just because I heard she's in it. Um, but long way of saying, yes, I'm looking forward to Talk to Me. I have not gotten a chance to see it. Um, like I said, I'm away this weekend. I'm away next weekend. I'm doing something the weekend after. Then we have weddings every weekend in September. So it's like I'm a mess this summer into the fall season. Like I said, I'm never the busy dude, and I'm the busy dude this this year. Um, so good thing is I'll always get a chance to see hopefully some movies. I mean, I get my Netflix movies, like my streaming movies early. Hopefully I can get into some of those early screenings for other movies, and those happen, during the week. So it's fine that I'm away on the weekend. And then if all else fails, I still have Thursday night previews. So we're gonna make the best of it. Shit happens. For some reason, I'm busy as all hell. Not great, but for some reason, I'm busy as all hell this year. But still cutting out ample time to see as many movies as possible. So we'll see. But yeah, cannot wait for Talk to Me. I've heard good things. And a nice thing about it too is some of my review buddies have been saying maybe they left the theater and they were like, yeah, I dug it. I don't know if it's really going to be like an insanely memorable one. Um, but we'll see. We'll see once I think on it more. And then they think on it more, and the next day they're like, okay, I thought about it more, and I actually like kind of changed my mind. Like I really dug it. I think it was awesome. So that's really cool. Um, you know, Dude, never thank me for the reviews, because if YouTube didn't exist, I'd still be doing the reviews. They would just be to my fiance who's ready to wear earplugs because she doesn't want to hear me talk about movies anymore, or just to my dog. So, never have to thank me for the reviews. I'm always going to be talking movies. So I just appreciate that you enjoy them. That's if they're like, it still shocks me. I think we're almost getting close to like 3,000 subscribers now, which I'm pumped about. That seems like such a high number when I started this channel, but the fact that like 3,000 people at some point, maybe they don't come back and watch all the time, but decided at some point that they enjoyed my content enough to say, yeah, screw it, I'll click this button so I see this guy again, means the world to me. So yeah, I'm happy to have you here, man. Really happy to have you here. Speaking of Mia Goth, I haven't seen X or Pearl yet, but planning on watching. What order would you watch those two? So it's tough. And AG, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you hopping in the chat. Um, it's tough for me because I like both of them a lot. I like X a decent deal more, even though I think Pearl's very good. It's just a different kind. It's just a different style of horror movie, and I vibe more with the 70s brass tacks slasher vibe of X more than I do the kind of like, I don't know what it was, like 30s, 20s slasher vibe of Pearl, but they both have their place in the horror landscape from last year. They're both really good. I think I would still suggest watching X first. I think it's just hard for me to suggest anything otherwise since that's the order they were delivered to me in. So I think X first, then Pearl, then Maxine, since we know they're finishing this trilogy. Because I think it's cool looking at it in hindsight. Like you watch X, you see that whole movie. I'm not even gonna like talk about it too much just because I know you're about to watch them at some point, so I won't really delve into it. But you see X, you see all the events that happened in that movie. Then you see Pearl, which gives you a new context on those events and like the person and the evil force behind them that you wouldn't have probably if you watch them in the reverse order. So I would say X first. You can't go wrong either way if you decide, Sully's a lunatic. I'm going to watch Pearl first. I wouldn't fault you for that. But for me, I think X works better as the opening to this trilogy. Just my personal opinion, though. What's up? I'm new here. What is going on? Happy to have you here. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate you finding your way onto this stream. I don't know if you're just searching Barbenheimer in the YouTube search bar, but happy to have you here. Really glad you stopped by, and we're talking some big movies, some of the biggest, probably the biggest movie week we're going to have in 2023. I sound like a broken record. I've been saying that the whole stream for the last hour and a half, but yeah, it is a great week to be a movie fan. It really like you can feel the excitement in the theaters again. Like that's, I mean, look, I'm even doing like the Italian thing, so that's how you know I'm passionate. It's I'm a real paisano, so it's you know it's it's a great time to be a movie fan this month. Gonna go now. My TV saying based on actual case files for Zodiac. Yes, dude. All right. Let me know. Like Instagram DM or comment on YouTube, something. I don't know. You know how to find me. Twitter, one of those. Let me know what you thought of this movie. Pumped to see that you're watching it right now. I really think you might walk out of it saying, who knows? Maybe you'll say it's your favorite Fincher movie, like I've kind of been saying. I think it's really awesome. Saw my review of They Cloned Tyrone. Can't wait to see it this weekend. Yeah, man, I've been a windbag, a broken record about this movie. Whether it's this stream right now, my review that you saw, thank you for checking that out, by the way, or on Twitter, I cannot stop talking about this movie. I think it's phenomenal. It blends like 10 different genres together seamlessly. Great performances, especially from John Boyega. He delivers the best of his career. Um, so yeah, I highly suggest it. This I let me know on my video after you watch it if you dug it, or if you didn't. I'd love to hear that too. Kind of like difference of opinion why maybe it didn't work for you and it did work for me. But I think you'll be pretty surprised, pleasantly surprised. And like I said, it's my number one movie of the year right now. So just go back from Oppenheimer. My theater was by far the most packed it's been in years. Yeah. So I remember on Tuesday when I went and was waiting in line to get into Oppenheimer, like I had my pass printed out or on my phone or whatever. There's no guarantee, even if you get the passes, that you get in because you don't know how many legitimate critics are RSVPing, and you just one thing or another can happen. People start waiting for a long time before you even get there, so like the odds are stacked against you. But I got in. I waited for hours to get into Oppenheimer early with my buddy, and we just barely got in, which is crazy because we were one of the first people there. But I heard somebody say once we were sitting down in Oppenheimer that like 200 people got turned away, which is crazy. That just shows you like I was telling my buddy like since it's a Nolan movie, it's only projected to make like 50 million I think this opening week, which in the grand scheme of like blockbusters isn't a ton. And when you think of like a Nolan movie, he kind of appeals the most to like hardcore cinephiles. Like it's kind of just like what his thing is. And then you mix this subject matter, which is kind of niche. Maybe not everyone's interested in it, but they'll still go see it if it's by Christopher Nolan. But so if someone had a chance to get free passes to see a Nolan movie early, like this is the movie that they were going to wait outside for, probably, even if it wasn't going to be a box office slammer. Um, It's still gonna do very well for what it is, but it's not gonna be like a, it's not gonna be like a Top Gun Maverick or even like a Fast X, which is hilarious to say. But yeah, my theater was packed then. My theater was absolutely packed during the screening for Barbie that I was at yesterday. It was just like hustle and bustle, which is really cool to see because like a lot of times when I go to theaters now, it's for like a sneak peek or early screening, it's like they're kind of dead outside of the specific movie I'm going to see. So I mean, as a cinema fan, like obviously no better place. I know my name is Sully Streams, so like I started out as a person covering, offerings on streaming services, but um, there's nothing beats sitting in the cinema. Opening night for a movie you've been looking forward to for years from one of your favorite directors, from some of your favorite actors. I mean, it can't be beat. So pumped to see that your theater is packed too, because I just think that makes such a more fun experience. Discovered my channel from They Cloned Tyrone. Awesome, man. I appreciate you watching that review. Um, you know, Without me just getting on the 20th tangent of the night about it, highly suggest you check it out. Awesome movie. Can't say enough good about it. Oppenheimer, I need motivation to see it, and I have no desire to see Barbie. Yeah, I understand there's definitely like a divide. Like, not everyone's going to want to see Oppenheimer and Barbie. There's different types of movie fans out there, and just different types of people. So, you but I think Oppenheimer is one of those things where if this movie was being made but didn't have one of the most prolific directors attached to it, obviously a lot less people would be seeing it. It's one of those things where I had people commenting on my Oppenheimer review yesterday, being like, "I have no interest in this subject matter or the story that this is about, but because it's a Christopher Nolan movie, I'm going to be there day one." So I think that's kind of the appeal around it, right? Like Christopher Nolan at this point could do a movie about like, I don't know, the creation of the phone book, the Yellow Pages, which is probably one of the most boring stories ever. And or like, a movie about watching paint dry. Nolan would find a way to make that interesting. Nolan could make a movie about grass growing, and I'd be there day one and I'd say, I need to be there in IMAX 70 millimeter to watch this grass grow. Like, he's that good. He's that much of a master of his craft. Planning to watch Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One again. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it again before it leaves theaters. I mean, like I had a fun time with it. I love those movies. That's one of my favorite movie franchises. It's probably the best action franchise, mainstream action franchise we've got going today. I'm wondering though. I put out a video 2 weeks ago, I think, ranking all the Mission Impossible movies. I'm wondering if you're interested in seeing it again. So that means you really enjoyed it. Where does it now fall in your Mission Impossible rankings? Um, I'll give a sneak peek. I won't give it away just in case anyone wants to go watch my full franchise ranking of that. But I had Dead Reckoning Part One in my top three. Didn't overthrow a couple of the more solid classic entries in the franchise that I absolutely love. And I think a lot of people agree on, but it was good. I think you could make the case that it was the most balanced Mission Impossible movie we've ever gotten. Like, I think it doesn't match the highs of some of the other franchise entries, but it has less lows too. So I just feel like it's balanced. It gave you everything you wanted to see, and it sets up part two for a pretty nice slam dunk next year at the movies. Um, I do think though, because of the story, since it was unfinished and there's a little bit of an overarching theme going on there, if they don't stick the landing with part two next year, it will make part one go down a little bit in my rankings. So I don't know. Only time will tell. Tom Cruise very rarely lets us down on that stuff, though. So we shall see what happens. But all right, I am going to wrap this up right now, guys. I appreciate everyone being here. Went strong for like an hour and 40. Now it's time for me to get in bed and watch a movie. I don't know what I'm gonna watch yet. Kind of in an action mood, like a '90s action movie. I haven't seen it. I've had my eye on Broken Arrow, directed by John Woo, with John Travolta and Christian Slater. I don't know why that keeps popping up in my watch list, but that might be one that I pop on tonight. I'm kind of just in that like '90s pulp mood, so we'll see. But everyone that's here now, everyone that's been here, everyone that's going to watch this on the replay, really appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for checking out the stream, supporting my channel, asking all these great questions. I mean, like at the end of the day, I told you I'm just a dude that wants to just talk movies 24/7 with people that actually want to listen to me. So the fact that you guys have an interest in my content and my channel means the world to me. Yeah, let's make sure that I keep me honest, that I keep doing these streams every month because I've really been digging them. So have a good night, everybody. Watch a movie, whatever it is. Let me know what you watched, and I'll see you guys at the next live stream. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.